Hi, this is Charlie from Path of the Bee. I'm back out here at my mine again today. I'm going to try and get this rail bed and rail system put in. Weather is coming in bad. It looks like we're going to get some rain. And so I traded some farm work for a day out here in the woods today. I'll have to do farm work in the rain, but I figured that's a little bit safer than climbing around on ladders. So what I'm going to try and get done today is behind me here, I'm going to try and get that second rail bed pole put up, and then that long lifter pole, I'll take it down. We'll get the cross beams in for the ties in for the track. I'll get the turn component put in, and hopefully we can get all the track just bolted down. So, all right, so the first thing I'm going to do is that next upright, and we'll get going on that. All right, let's get started. Okay, so I've got a snatch block here I borrowed from my brother. It's pretty fancy. It folds over, the hinge opens up, and then I can put the rope on, put it back together, close it, and then I've got a pulley. So I'll hook my rope in, and then I'll hook it in that loop-de-loop up there, and see if we can get that tied up tight against the pole there. Okay, well that ought to lift that relatively straight up. Okay, and then we got our blocks here. So move my ladder over a bit. Okay, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this beam in here. Okay, so I'm going to set this beam in here like this. I'm going to grab the tape measure and measure out the balance point of that. And just on this side of the balance point, I'll tie my rope. Okay. Okay, then I'm going to run this out here. I should be able to lift this then with this piece here. It should pivot there. I'm going to bring the four-wheeler over and hook on now. Tie a knot in that, and then we'll use it to back that thing up into the air. Let's see what happens here. You got to be on this side. All right. Higher than that other one. Ought to do it right there. That ought to do it right there. It's a little bit higher than that other one. It should reach around the top of my little block there and be captured. So we'll see if we can get around the inside there and get a hold of it. Okay, that's gonna have to come up some too. Okay. We got it. We got it. We're going to give it some slack now. Go in there and tighten her down. Get it squared up. Okay. All right. Let's get this anchored in here then. My little block. Okay. So these are the big screws I'm using. They're 8 inches long. I use a T40 driver. They hold pretty good. I think they're a number 17 screw, so they'll hold up pretty good. That's tight. You're not coming down now. Undo our rope. Okay. All right. Okay. We might have to build some kind of an elaborate deal. I don't know. We're going to grab our second block. We're going to hook it here. So get that stood up and get it tensioned up against that. And I can use it to, I can kind of control this direction. Hopefully I can lower it down. We're going to see what happens here. Got this little pocket in the dirt here. We'll anchor it from this direction here. Okay. All right, it's too long. Okay. That's what I wanted. That's actually exactly what I wanted. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dig here until that 45 gets in top of that. I'll just dig this down here a bit, keep making a pocket and scoot it back. That'll work great for the head rig. Okay, we got the other support beam here. Okay, we'll see if we can get this one stood up. Okie dokie. That's it right there. That's it right there. Okay. Okay, it looks like the right spacing. Everything looks good. Okay, so I've got a couple of spikes here, angles with some holes drilled in them, and I'll put one on each side of them braces that I just got stood up, and anchor the bottoms of them there. So that's what I'll do now. Okay, so what I need to start doing at this point is I was putting some of my ties on inside there and bring them up. From the collar up, I wanted to work high enough to get my curved part of the track in. And then I'm going to get down underneath and we'll brace everything up and put those in from the top down for spacing. Once I get this up here a little bit, I can get another chunk in up high. I think I can lay this ladder on there and get up and anchor them upper corners down. Stand up here now and give this the little razoo. Alrighto, yeah. Okay, so that's it for the hole. This comes out and dumps here now. Okay, well, I've got the fort out here on the outside coming up. That's where the height of the rail cart will dump. I'm going to go inside and I can pull the ladder out from down underneath, put a scaffold plank back in, and work down till I get down to the height there that the scaffolding's at. Pull the scaffold plank back out, and then work from underneath down in the holes. So first things first, what we got to do here is just gonna bring this down. On top of that's a foot mark, so right there's a foot mark. Over here is a foot mark. Okay, then okay, so once again I ran out of memory, so I'm down to just using my cell phone, and it won't last long. So I'm going to show you what I got done today. I did get cross ties in so far down here, just down to the scaffolding. I still have to go below the scaffolding and get the rest of those cross ties in. I still need to get the top of this put back together, and I'm going to try and put that big ladder up on there and anchor that all together before I have to go home today. There we go. Angle iron here. This one. See if we can get into it in a few places. This big I'm going to screw this big board in here for a brace. I've got it. I'm going to use it. Exactly what I'm going to do. Then it won't swish no more. Right? Alright. Let's see if it stays put this time. Oh yeah, that's way better. Way better. Way better. Okay, I think I can actually get it screwed in. Okay, so this is a rail piece that I experimented with when I built that minecart. This is the corner turning here on top. I brought it out here on this material so I could keep in my head how everything went together, and I've made my measurements kind of understand how everything's going to go. So I'm going to go ahead and take these off now. Okay, let's try and get these put in. So this is my spacer. This is my spacer tool I made. It's got my rail gauge on it. Okay. All right, so I ran into some trouble here by using 4x4s. I ran out of distance in between. I had enough to barely fit the minecart in between the timbers, but I failed to realize that the track has to be slightly wider than because of the flange on it than where the tires go. So I'm going to have to cut a notch in here to get the tires to go through this part of it, and then so I have to figure out how to reinforce the south side of this beam. But so I got to go back to the drawing board for a bit. I'm going to write down some dimensions here before I take off, and then we'll see if I can come up with a solution to this dilemma. Okay, so it's about 2 weeks later from when I discovered that my beams, the gap between my beams, are too narrow to get the minecart through. But it's just the part where the front wheels need to go through there. I did a bunch of measurement, and if I chisel a groove out in there, I can make this work real fine. So what my plan is that I'm gonna scab on a 2x4 on the outside of each upright there, and then that'll carve out a place for the wheel to travel through when the minecart's dumping and it stays on the track, and then we'll be back in business. Like I said, it is the 2nd of November today. I might not even make it out there. I'm starting to see snow in the mountains. This is probably my last chance to get this done this fall, and so we're gonna do the best we can here. Okay, so I've arrived out here. I made it. It's not snowing. It was 38 degrees, so we're in good shape. I'll be able to work out here pretty regular then. Okay, so this is where I'm at. Like I said, those I'll have to carve a little groove in between there. I'll get that curved rail set up there. I can draw a line, and then I'll carve that out. So because I'm on a cell phone only today, because of the weather, it's raining pretty hard, I'll just record this in little increments. Okay, so what I've done here is I held that rail curve up there, and I drew a line on both posts here, and then I'm gonna go ahead and use a hammer and a chisel here, and we're gonna cut this out. It's gonna go in here 1.5 inches deep, and then that wheel is 8 inches around, so it's gonna come up. I'll draw this all on here, and then start using my hammer and chisel here to get it carved out. Okay, so I got a notch cut in here now. This one side so the track will fit in here. I still have this one to do. I'm getting really wet and soaked. I'm hoping to at least just get these two pieces of curved rail here in the top. Okay, so I'm making some progress. I've got one notch cut in there. I got my skid lid on today instead of my ball cap, kind of keep my head a little bit drier, a little bit of water off my glasses. I'm starting to fog up and stuff, but we're gonna get this done. I'll hopefully get this, at least get this piece of curved rail in here before I head out of here today. Then we'll, the rest of it will just be kind of a piece of cake. Okay, so I got the notches cut there. And I think what I need to do is I'm gonna splice I've got some pieces from that old sample system that I put up. I'm just gonna like screw a 2x4 to the outside of that to boost it up its strength a little bit, and then I'll go ahead and try and screw those rails in. So this is the piece that I'm gonna disassemble this here, and I'm gonna use those longer little 2x3s there on the outside to splice that up, give a little extra strength, and then we'll go ahead and get our rail pieces put in. Okay, so I got the curves on there, the start, so, and then we'll just start working our way down in. I'm getting awful wet. It's going to be about it for today, pretty soon. We'll see what goes on here. So I wanted to show you here the top of these pieces of rail. I put a little piece of square in there that'll fit inside the other one, so they'll kind of lock together. So these rails kind of lock together as they go to keep them in perfect alignment. All right, I'll go ahead and put that set on there, and then I'm gonna call it a day because I'm getting really wet. Hopefully I can find another day this fall to come out here with the minecart. We'll see. Okay, well, it's awful wet and slick, and it's starting to get kind of dangerous even. So I'll get these rails screwed in here, and then I think we're gonna call it a day. Okay, I got these held up here now. And what I'll do is I'll come along with a gauge that I made that'll fit in between these, and I'll screw into each one. These rails I'm gonna keep set apart 16 1/8 of an inch. My wheels on my minecart are 16 inches to the flange, so that'll give me just an 1/8 of an inch of clearance, and we'll work that way down. And then as this tightens up down here, I can take these out and move them where they actually belong. I just use them to hold it in place for the time being. So, all right, well, like I said, I'm super wet and soaked, and I'm gonna go home. If I get another day to get out here this fall, we'll do that, and I'll bring you along. If not, that's gonna be it for this video, and we'll catch you next time.